Hey, everybody. So, Sean Curtis and I were talking about Korn and the topic of a song that you're listening to that please just do not interrupt me. Leave me alone songs came up. So, we explore that a little bit here.
Oh, man. That's a great question. Because what's funny is I didn't realize that one until I was going through the music. You know what I mean? I had that realization about how strongly I felt about that song. But there is some stuff that I'll put on that I genuinely want to be just in the moment of the music. And some of it is, man, I guess I would call them, rewindable stuff. I have to go back and listen to again if I get interrupted. And I feel like they range all over the place too, because it's like Korn with Justin, Metallica, Welcome Home Sanitarium is my favorite song ever by them, and that's one I've got to hear. If I'm listening to it, I don't want to be doing anything else. Leave me alone. Man, so many Pink Floyd songs because I love Pink Floyd. You're gonna laugh at this one. There's a Billie Eilish song that I love listening to, and I hate being interrupted during. It's called I think it's called When the Party's Over.
Yeah.
Do you know that one?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Dude, that song, I don't know why. I feel it inside so much when I'm listening to it. I'll sit there, I'll close my eyes, I'll get into it. And if somebody interrupts that vibe I have in that moment, it's like almost the needle scratch sound when a record gets interrupted, right?
Yep.
That's what I feel if somebody comes and interrupts me during that song. It's that jarring, you know what I mean? And I could probably go through and find a bunch of music like that I feel that way about, because music's been such an important part of my life for such a long time. But I mean, that's just a few songs I can think of off the top of my head that came to mind. Go ahead.
What about you, Curtis? Like, has there been a song recently where you're kind of listening to it and you realize, you know what, I just kind of want to be left alone with this?
So when I think about that, it's not like these are my favorite songs. It's like songs that build to this particular moment, right? And if you don't get the whole song up to that, it's not the same, right? So you're trying to get this like big spot that the first thing I think of is like Stairway to Heaven, right? Okay. So we're at like, do I love the first 4 minutes of Stairway to Heaven? No. Do I love how it builds to that huge, big last verse with all the drums and the way the guitar lays down? Yeah, like it builds to this something. So, yeah, tons of songs like that. I feel like... I think
there's one though when you bring up Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven, and it made me think of another one that I'm like, man, I feel like we're always building to this one part in the song, and you got to get there. And it's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
I nothing can interfere with me as I'm getting ready for, you gotta build, like you said, the song gets to that point, and I need the whole song to that point. I don't want to start there. I need the process.
So the bands that I think of for that, like, we need to get there to the moment. Tool, I think of that way. Like, I don't listen to like a lot of prog, but I feel like that's kind of like the vibe for that style of music.
Yeah.
And kind of the opposite of that is something I revisited recently was I was doing my Guns N' Roses deep dive, and I listened to Chinese Democracy, and these are good songs. They just don't get there. Yeah. Like the title track like builds to this moment that just never happens. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like Leave Me Alone because it's my favorite songs, but it's more like, here's this, especially the new Tool album. Like I'm listening to this 9-minute song. I'm waiting for this like 15 seconds of like perfection.
That's quite an investment to get to that small part.
Yeah. Just don't interrupt me. Let me get there.
There's nothing worse than somebody doing that deal.
There you have it. Talking about songs that please do not interrupt. Leave Me Alone. That is on After the Fact number 61, which is only available as a patron exclusive on my Patreon, patreon.com/ohhijustin. $1 a month gets you in the club. That's, shoot, you get tons and tons and tons of content, including Deprogrammed Before the Rest of the World and all the After the Fact episodes. Speaking of Deprogrammed, if you'd like to hear our discussion on Korn, check it out. Deprogrammed comes out on Thursdays, all podcast platforms.